The Panthers survived a late push by the Vegas Golden Knights in the third, but it was the first 40 minutes for the Panthers and getting a 2-goal lead that was helpful to get the 2 points.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Tuesday, November 11th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X at Monoman12. Follow the show account anywhere you listen to podcasts and on YouTube. Shout out to the everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one sports podcasting network in America. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You can do that all on FanDuel. So, Florida Panther fans, grateful to be back here once again on another edition of the show to discuss everything in the world of the Florida Panthers as the Panthers come out with a 3-2 regulation win against the Vegas Golden Knights to get only their second win at the Fortress in their franchise history. And this includes all of their Stanley Cup final games from the 2023 season. And for the Florida Panthers, it was really a big focus in this one on the top players for the Vegas Golden Knights, in the Mitch Marners, in the Ivan Barbashevs, Tomas Hertl, Jack Eichel. Those were the guys that the Panthers were laser focused on, and it really truly set the tone, especially when the Vegas Golden Knights were trying to get out of their end, get some speed out of the neutral zone, and a big stick lift by Evan Rodriguez. And really, the Panthers really truly set the tone by the block shots and also when it came to just getting the pucks deep, getting on their forecheck, not allowing the Vegas Golden Knights to get out with speed out of their end, which is something that we really saw in the first matchup. Like I said, Evan Rodriguez set the tone there, really. A lot of times, Evan Rodriguez got some big clears, especially on the 5-on-3 for the Panthers there when the Panthers were still up 1-0. We're going to be talking about a lot about that 5-on-3 all throughout the show, but also the tone was set for the Florida Panthers there, where Seth Jones winning some puck battles, especially one in the half wall, setting up Sam Bennett beautifully, and how he was using his east-west movement really at the blue line and even in the top parts of the slot to create a lot of the open chances. And then Seth Jones getting a primary assist on the Sam Reinhart goal that made it 3-1 at the time to give the Panthers some insurance goal. But even before that, when the Panthers were just faster to the pucks and getting a lot to their retrievals, I mean, the Panthers had the territorial advantage as far as the shot attempt share, and it really showed that the shot on goals were in favor of the Vegas Golden Knights. But really, when it came to what the Panthers were doing in the offensive end, the pucks were hitting some Vegas Golden Knights players, but the Panthers really pounced a lot on those loose pucks, and then whenever they would gain it at the end boards, it was very quick from the end boards to the circles, or if it was in the circles, it was working back to the points. The Panthers did a lot of those things right when it came to this victory for them. And really, the times that the Panthers did score, especially that first goal by Jesper Boqvist, which was his first goal since opening night, where he got that GWG in the third period against the Chicago Blackhawks. Before the goal even happened for the Panthers there, the Vegas Golden Knights were a little discombobulated in their end. Mackie Samoskevich was driving down the left wing, getting that pass to Jeff Petrie, missing the net, and then when it rimmed around the board, Donovan Sebrango was quick to get that puck to Jesper, and not even giving himself a chance to handle it. He just one-times it, and a deflection goes in. So second goal for the season for Jesper Boqvist, but also going through a little bit of adversity early for the Panthers in that second period, where Ekblad is late to react when the Vegas Golden Knights clear their own end and then gets beat, and then goes to the box for the interference call, and then shortly after, 50 seconds into that PK for the Panthers, Nico Mikkola was caught spinning Jack Eichel around while the Vegas Golden Knights were on the power play, spun him 90 degrees. Had a little bit of complaint to the referee there, but it was the right call for the Panthers. And then 2 defensemen in the box, and then getting a key change after an offside that was drawn by Eetu Luostarinen. But Gustav Forsling during that time playing 2.5 minutes in the Panthers D zone and getting clears and winning his battles and making sure that the puck does get on the ice. But even after the Panthers did get that change, Gustav Forsling was the guy that still remained on the ice because he knew that Aaron Ekblad was getting out of the box shortly after. So they got to play a little bit of that time together after that. But also Sergei Bobrovsky making the timely saves when he needed to. One before a goal and then one shortly after, which we'll get to more in segment number 2, which is a little bit of a tease. But points wise, for the Panthers, this was all about the blue line and what they've been able to do. Like I mentioned, it was more than just Gustav Forsling with the 2 minutes, but just being able to get the sweep on the puck after Sergei Bobrovsky makes a big save. It was a nice flip out of the zone by the Vegas Golden Knights, but a quick sweep. Gustav Forsling gets it to Brad Marchand, draws the Vegas defense out of position, and Carl Lindbaum out of his crease, and then just roofs it with a beautiful backhand for himself to make it 2-0 at the time for the Panthers. And to do this in an environment that the Panthers have had haven't played their best games in history, and to do this on the road, which I mentioned even in our preview that Vegas has had great challenges from different teams: Tampa Bay, Detroit, Anaheim. That's a big insurance goal and multiple insurance goals. When I mentioned the power play goal by Sam Reinhart, which great positioning by Anton Lundell to win the battle on the near side corner, work it to the point. Marchand and Seth Jones were working the points together, and then point to point pass, quick shot to from the point to through the slot, and then Sam Reinhart, nobody collapsing there, and then he just gets in the position at the time to make it 3-1. But 40 minutes through, Panthers were shutting out the Vegas Golden Knights through 100 plus minutes of hockey for the Panthers against this Vegas Golden Knights team, who is top 15 in over towards the top half, of the NHL in scoring, and also the top half of defending. They didn't collapse on Sam Reinhart while they were on the PK. And to think that the Panthers had really struggled on the power play throughout this entire road trip. That was their first power play goal since the Tuesday game against Anaheim. And to think that all the chances that they had on Saturday against the San Jose Sharks, and they were able to pounce on this one. And it was just a continuation. That game from Saturday, although coming in a loss and getting 0 points out of it, you truly saw the confidence that was going through the Florida Panthers as they were able to just connect, create a lot of space in their offensive end, and still be able to get them out of position, like I mentioned earlier. And how big was that insurance goal by Reinhart there? The fact that you get a little bit of breathing room, especially with the third period where you're on your heels, you only get one shot on goal in the entire period offensively, which maybe it's by design for the Florida Panthers there. But after the last TV timeout, yeah, the total cumulatively says 12 shots on goal for the Vegas Golden Knights. But after the final TV timeout, only 2 shots that the Florida Panthers allowed there throughout the last 5. I think it was 5:40 that the TV timeout was officially blown, and the buzzer sounded to have the teams go to the bench. But incredible how the Panthers are just continue to just be comfortable in these situations and wearing teams down physically. I mentioned the lack of goals, but Donovan Sebrango, 2 points, including the secondary assist on the Marchand goal. So for 2 of his first points in his NHL career, and also how this team treats each other as family. When Jesper Boqvist scored that goal for himself, he was quick to get that puck, knowing that it was Donovan Sebrango's first points in his NHL career. So also just quick to know and being very aware of the situation there. So the Florida Panthers survive. They're 2-2-0 on the trip, And man, does it feel good to get a win in a place that they don't get a lot of wins in. So credit to them for doing so. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we are going to discuss more of our 3 stars of the game and then the moment where we knew the game was won. We'll discuss all this and more next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. And the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score the next fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bet on the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making the late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you guys once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day on the number 1 sports podcasting network, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And the Florida Panthers are coming off once again a 3-2 road win and regulation win over the Vegas Golden Knights on the road, as once again 2-0 road trip, and it feels so good, especially staying up late and seeing a dub for this Florida Panthers team, as currently on my laptop it says 1:38 in the morning from when I'm doing this podcast. So it's a win for the Florida Panthers, which means that we are going to be discussing our 3 stars of the game and then the moment where we knew the game was won. So, going to start with our 3rd star of the game. There's so many options that we could choose. We could choose Evan Rodriguez, like I mentioned earlier, Etulis Thurannon, who had multiple opportunities to score on the empty net. One that I don't think he was trying to score on the empty net, and then another opportunity where he iced the puck. But just how he was able to once again close the gaps, especially on when the Vegas Golden Knights were trying to gain the blue line with the extra attacker. But he's not one of my stars, neither is Evan Rodriguez. So 3rd star of the game for me, Sergei Bobrovsky, big toe save on Mitch Marner, as Mitch Marner had a few handles and he was able to make that toe save. And like I mentioned earlier in segment number 1, big saves before a goal and then after a goal. I'm going to go with the after first. The big save on the Boqvist goal on Tomas Hertl. Tomas Hertl had 5 shots on goal. I felt that he created the best chances for the Vegas Golden Knights on the evening for them, and clutch moments. And when you think that things could turn very quickly with one score, and Sergei Bobrovsky said no during those times after the Boqvist goal on Tomas Hertl, and then one from Ivan Barbashev. And so many times that Ivan Barbashev was found near the blue paint, near the crease, and especially the big one before the Brad Marchand goal, which Sergei Bobrovsky, with no defenseman around him, gets out of his crease. There's at least a good foot or two that he's stepping out, and then he makes himself big, and then the Panthers go and score on the other end there. So big ups to Sergei Bobrovsky. If he had the shutout, obviously he would have been my number 1 star, but dropped a few spots after giving up those goals, which those big saves on Hertl and Barbashev, they ended up scoring later on in the 3rd period. But every single time, at least in the 3rd period, the Panthers were still able to play comfortably, and thankfully that insurance goal for Sam Reinhart made the comeback less likely as the game went on. Number 2 star for me, Donovan Sebrango. I don't know how many times we're going to have Donovan Sebrango, a 3rd pair defenseman, as a star of the game, and setting the tone early with the fight with Jeremy Lauzon, and a fight that nobody saw coming. Maybe if you really truly rewind and everything based on the last game between the Florida Panthers and the Vegas Golden Knights, where Jeremy Lauzon got a dirty hit on Jonah Gadjevich, and then the scuffle happened towards the end, which it's still a little odd how Jonah Gadjevich still finished that game, and then he's sidelined for 3 months. So just once again shows how tough hockey players are, and that we have to put our respect on them for what they do day in and day out, sacrificing their body. Uh, so. Uh, so Donovan Sebrango getting the 2 assists, first of his career, crediting his mother during the interview with Katie Engelson, talking about how she is his rock star, raising him as a single mother, and being a single mother, raising a kid, trying to play hockey with how expensive it is. Big ups to Kim Sebrango, who's also very active on Twitter as well, tweeting about it. Also posted a picture of him making his Panthers debut a few weeks ago. So very, very active and also very engaging with the community. And also I've mentioned how quick he's been getting on the puck, activating in the play. And going into this one, he was a +3 at 5-on-5. And finally, it's a plus that actually results in a point for him. Just needed a goal to complete the Gordie Howe hat trick, but he did not get that feat for himself. But hey, it's not often where a defenseman gets a Gordie Howe hat trick. So we wish that Donovan Sebrango could have at least gotten that, but he didn't even get a shot on goal. But hey, he even said after the game when he was speaking to the media how it's not what he's brought there to do. He's there to do his job, and also very mature answers from him post game. And a guy who played 200 plus games in the AHL and ECHL. I don't know if he's going to be a mainstay, but this is another one of those Bill Zito waiver claim pickups that are successful. I mean, so small sample size, but so far so good from what Sebrango is bringing. And there's not a lot of negative things to really truly say about him during his short Florida Panthers tenure. And you kind of forget that Uvis Belinskis hasn't dressed since he's been inserted into the lineup, and that's the great thing about the defense depth. And when we talk about the expected goals against, about how it's in such a great place, and how the top 4 is solidified, and all you have to get is a good rotating cast around that last pair. And Donovan Sebrango, A+ for what he's been able to do. Well, maybe A+ is a little bit of a stretch, but at least a satisfactory type of grade that I would say for what he's been able to do. And number 1 star, Gustav Forsling. Oh my goodness, this was an absolute clinic, closing gaps. And there was a big sweep that he had towards the end when the Vegas Golden Knights were on a 6-on-5. The Jack Eichel, if you were to rewatch this part again, if you go back to the game, if you watch it on demand, he had the puck on the goal line, trying to feed from low to high in the from the goal line to the point, from the opposite side point. And then Gustav Forsling, with having a stick on the ground and a nice slide and a nice sweep to the corner to at least disrupt the Vegas Golden Knights. And also Jack Eichel not being able to handle the puck a little more there. So it kind of put him a little bit out of sorts there. And also Aaron Ekblad on that same shift also was also very crucial with not allowing any of those passing lanes there. And like I mentioned, the big minutes on the 5-on-3 and getting that puck to Brad Marchand right before he made it 2-0. So Gustav Forsling, just an absolute monster of a game, and just continues to show the physical fitness on how he's able to skate and keep up with the players, especially in transition. And also the Panthers, credit to them about them being very selective with how they pinch in the O zone, that we saw very little or zero breakaway chances for the Vegas Golden Knights. And Sergei Bobrovsky was taken care of, clean, and it was all thanks to that defense and how they took care of them on the evening. And it was points distributed very fairly, but really what Gustav Forsling did on the defensive end was passed with flying colors in this game. But the moment that we knew the game was won for the Panthers, the 2-0 lead in hockey is the type of lead that is the least safe. but I really truly felt that that when Brad Marchand scored to make it 2-0, and also Brad Marchand had an opportunity on the power play for the Panthers early on in the second period, where Anton Lindell had the puck from the left flank, and Brad Marchand was there, crashed into the net. Lindbaum was out of position and then just flat out missed the net, but made it up for that goal off the rush for himself there. So made it up there. And Brad Marchand, now 11 goals on the season, and now he has goals in 6 of his last 7 games in the stretch for him. So Brad Marchand continues to just lead the way for the Panthers at 37 years old. So that is one thing that Brad Marchand, aging like fine wine once again, and just leading the way. And you understand why he was chosen as the captain of the Boston Bruins there for just a few years after Patrice Bergeron retired. So the Panthers truthfully have so many leaders on this team. Although Sam Reinhart is more on the quiet side for himself, he finds a way to be selective when he's talking around the bench, and just showing it on the defensive side, and just with how he positions him, like I mentioned, positions his stick there. Different leaders like Forsling, Ekblad, who's been with the team since 2014, and really the foundation and the leadership of this team is just you think you sometimes forget, not really, that this team is without 2 of their best players, and it once again gives me confidence that the Panthers are truly in a fine place for them. Brad Marchand, by the way, he's 2 points away from 1,000, which he's about to pass Pavel Bure. Also Sergei Bobrovsky with the win. He is now ninth all time, tied for ninth all time in goalie wins for his outstanding NHL career, tying Jacques Plante with 437 wins. So one more win to officially pass him, and then after that, for Sergei Bobrovsky, he'll be 7 away from Terry Sawchuk there. And Sergei Bobrovsky, I'm just looking at the all-time wins list right now and then the games played. Jacques Plante played 837 in his games in his career. Sergei Bobrovsky played 766 game. His game number 766 tonight. And then the next guy that he is about going to pass, in Terry Sawchuk, 971. And then after that, Curtis Joseph, 943 games. Henrik Lundqvist, who played 887. If Sergei Bobrovsky gets to that point for 459 wins, there's a chance that he could possibly do it in less games than Hank, which we love seeing him on TNT. But the rate that he's doing it, although yes, I do stand with the whole goalie wins is not a stat, but still impressive that he's climbing up the ladder as far as the all-time greats in this game, and he's playing for the team that we cheer for in the Florida Panthers. So once again, congrats to Sergei Bobrovsky on another big accomplishment in his NHL career. But we're going to transition over to segment number 3, where we are going to discuss how the Panthers it's a happy flight home, and how this could possibly be the start of a really big stretch for the Panthers. On their confidence is there, and now they get to go to a comfortable place, and that comfortable place is called South Florida and Amerant Bank Arena. We'll discuss more of this next here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. But first, we're going to tell you guys all about Drip Drop. And when I'm hydrated, everything just works better. My focus, energy, mood, even my skin. That's why I've been using Drip Drop. It's doctor-developed hydration that keeps me running at full power, no matter what my day looks like. Drip Drop isn't your average sports drink. It delivers 3 times the electrolytes and half of the sugar of leading brands, using science-backed formula trusted by medical professionals, firefighters, and over 90% of top college and pro team. Hydration has become a non-negotiable for me. Drip Drop helps me feel sharper, calmer, and honestly, just better overall. Right now, Drip Drop is offering podcast listeners 20% off of your first order. Go to dripdrop.com and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard and keep your body and mind performing at their best with Drip Drop. Segment number 3 here on this Tuesday, November 11th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on the #1 sports podcasting network, the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And a 2-2-0 road trip for the Panthers. And listen, there's been some parts of the road trip where you're just scratching your head with the amount of goals that the Florida Panthers gave up against Anaheim. And then when you think of the lack of puck luck and the fact that you felt that the Florida Panthers really, truly deserved 2 points in San Jose, when you think about this road trip, at least for me, feel free to comment down below on how you feel about it. It's a level of contentment for how I feel about this, because you look at two of the teams that you beat here, and Vegas Golden Knights, a team that's expected to challenge for the Stanley Cup this year, and then the LA Kings, who have been in the playoffs for multiple years. Although I'm not really sold on the LA Kings on being back in the mix in the postseason after some of their moves, but for the Panthers, it was a close game against the Anaheim Ducks, although the first 40 minutes were really horrible with the amount of breakaway opportunities, and really night and day when you look at how the Panthers truly played defensively, with none of that happening tonight. Monday night, but now we're at Tuesday, and yeah. These late night games are messing me up with days, as right now my clock says 1:53 in the morning, but the Panthers still, you see the points percentage, 531, 8-7-1, and the thing is, the goal differential for the Panthers doesn't really tell the whole story, as you saw an empty net goal that they gave up in the last game, and then sometimes when in their losses early on in their road games, it would be not one but two empty net goals. So the Panthers are pretty much playing even to their opposition. And the Script Sports broadcast did mention the splits between the home and road for the Panthers coming into this game. I'm just going to pull it up on my phone real quick. Goals at home, 15th in the NHL, while on the road it was 31st. Power play is 4th at home, while power play on the road, which you can add one from tonight, but going into this one, it was 30th in the league. Goals allowed at home, outstanding, 2nd in the NHL, but going into this one, it was 26. And to think that even through 40 minutes, the Panthers of giving a goose egg to the Vegas Golden Knights here. So still getting that lead and not even allowing the Vegas Golden Knights to even tie it. The Panthers were really, truly able to really feel comfortable. And like I said in the teaser to segment number 3, it's a happy flight home. And the Panthers, it's a group that they talk about it all the time. They love to play poker on the plane coming back. And also the Panthers, actually, they won't be flying tonight. They never fly back home overnight. The night of a game. They've actually really truly changed how they've been able to do travel, and they've really dug deep into sports science. So they'll be leaving tomorrow, so they're going to be well rested as well. They're not practicing Tuesday, obviously. They're probably going to be back on the ice for Wednesday, and then right back before they welcome the Washington Capitals to Amerant Bank Arena. So they could be happy flight. It's the food tastes better when you are winning, and to think that still doing this without their full complement of guys, and really for the Panthers, when you look at what's ahead, I mean, 7 of their next 8 are going to be from Amerant Bank Arena, and then the only road game that they are going to be playing in this stretch is going to be on November 24th against the Nashville Predators, and the Nashville Predators are also a big mess. To think that they could have possibly turned it around after their disastrous year last year. They gave the New York Rangers their first home win this season, and they might pull the plug on all the pieces that they spent this not this offseason, but the offseason before. So and when you look at everything for the Florida Panthers in this next stretch of games, a lot of very winnable games. You have Calgary on the schedule. Edmonton is up and down, although Edmonton did come back from a multi-goal deficit against Columbus at home tonight on Prime Monday Night Hockey. The Panthers found the Oilers found a way to win. And then you see Vancouver with some trouble down the middle with injuries. If there's another team that's just as injured as the Panthers, it's the Vancouver Canucks. And then Calgary, who's probably in line for the number 1 overall pick. Philadelphia is still trying to figure themselves out. This is truly a stretch for the Panthers when you look at 7 of the next 8 at home, that they could really truly start to hit their stride possibly and really put themselves in an early position to get at least a little comfortable and create a little cushion when it comes to the line where that is the wild card spot for them. But you also gotta appreciate how the Panthers how the Panthers communicate on the bench, which is something that Paul Maurice even spoke about post game, which it's a group that is truly engaged. They're always talking about what happened the shift before, positioning, and Paul Maurice even talked about how they want to constantly about where they want to be next when they do take the ice for their next shift. So that's also very a little bit of that insight about what not exactly word for word on what they talk about on the bench, but just the fact that they've learned, especially because although he was here for a short time, Vladimir Tarasenko, I will say that he's had a lasting impact on this team, because one of the things that Tarasenko did always was just consistently talkative on the bench. And learning and doing that and playing with young guys like Eetu Luostarinen, who it's crazy to call Eetu Luostarinen a young guy now, and even Anton Lundell, who has multiple playoff runs under his belt, and same thing with Eetu, but still relatively young. These guys aren't even over the age of 25, and Vladimir Tarasenko has really truly had that lasting impact, and it's really carried on from even though he hasn't been here with the Florida Panthers over the last 2 years. So that's another thing about just having a veteran to mentor there for those two guys, and really having those two guys play on the third line has built them for a moment like this, for when they're ready to take these top line assignments. And then hopefully when the team is healthy by April, that they could go back to third line assignment and then just play so confidently like they have in the last run, especially in those clinching games like we saw in Tampa Bay, in Toronto. And this is where that's really truly where you make your money as far as performance. But we're really truly seeing why, and the carryover from those postseason performances. And although it wasn't extreme, it wasn't noticeable, at least tonight, on a whole bunch of high danger chances. I was mostly impressed by that line, specifically on what they did defensively. But I at least at 5-on-5. But still, that group is truly bought in, and also that once again, that is an effect of and lasting from what they had from when Vladimir Tarasenko was truly with the team. I wasn't expecting to mention him on this episode, but there I go with how it's been, how these last 3 playoff runs have truly helped, even after the fact of when they win, and how you get through with the ups and even the downs of an 82 game regular season. And this is the part where you see once again of how the pieces are working together here. So that once again, I'm truly encouraged by the Panthers. And listen, it's a game where you see the logo on the other side. It's one of those logo games, and for the Panthers, they got up for it, and they were able to play at their best, which you could expect once again whenever they do see these teams coming up on their schedule on teams that they have seen before and they've had beef with in the past. So truly impressive once again about how the Panthers continue to do this. But that's going to do it for today's edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day on the #1 sports podcasting network. Make sure to tune in tomorrow as it'll be a Winans Wednesday edition of the show where we're going to discuss Alexander Barkov, where he was seen publicly in multiple places, and maybe his road to recovery may be accelerating a lot faster than we think, and is there a possibility that he could return? But we will see if that is the case, and we will discuss that more on tomorrow's edition of the show. So make sure to come back then. But in the meantime, if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL Network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey, Flip Livingstone and Stu Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day on the #1 sports podcast network. So I'm Armando Velez, signing off. And you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We're your team every day.